I'm Isla, and welcome to the Lore Lodge. Tonight, I'll be guiding you through the world of Marcus Fenix and Dom Santiago into the calm before the storm of Gears of War, E-Day. Get comfortable. Close your eyes. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. The fire is warm. The story is waiting. Picture this. You are standing on a balcony overlooking a city at peace. The air is cool and clean, carrying the scent of ornamental gardens and distant rain. Below you, streets of pristine white stone curve gracefully between buildings that are both monuments and homes. Light from elegant street lamps pools on the pavement like liquid gold, and the soft hum of civilian life is a gentle, reassuring sound. There are no sandbags here, no barricades, no soldiers on high alert. This is Sera, the jewel of the coalition of ordered governments. A city at the height of its power, basking in the glow of a hard-won and seemingly endless peace. You can feel the solid weight of the carved stone balustrade beneath your hands. It's cool to the touch, smoothed by generations of weather and contemplation. This is a world of order, a world of logic, a world that believes it has tamed its own demons and solved the bloody equations of war. It is a beautiful lie, and it is the world that gave birth to two of the greatest soldiers it would ever know. To understand Marcus Fenix and Dominic Santiago, you first have to understand the world that made them, the planet Sera. Before the Locust, before the Lambent, before even the darkest days of its own human conflicts, Sera was a place of breathtaking beauty and profound contradiction. Imagine a world a little larger than Earth, with a slightly longer day and a fiercer gravity. A world where humanity had reached for the stars, but had been forced to turn back and look inward, to perfect its own society on its own soil. This wasn't a sprawling interstellar empire. This was a civilization focused, for better or worse, entirely on itself. The dominant power, the very air that Marcus and Dom would breathe from their first moments, was the coalition of ordered governments, the COG. Even the name tells you everything you need to know. It speaks of structure, of control, of a belief that any problem, no matter how complex, could be solved with the right application of logic and force. The COG was born from the mind of a socialist politician named Alexei Desipic, but it was forged in the fire of a conflict that would define the era, the Pendulum Wars. For nearly 80 years before Marcus and Dom were born, the people of Sera fought over a substance that was both a miracle and a curse. Emulsion. A phosphorescent, low-viscosity fluid that seemed to solve every energy crisis the planet had ever faced. It was cheap, abundant, and incredibly powerful, a gift from the planet itself. And like so many gifts of that nature, humanity immediately went to war over it. The COG and the Union of Independent Republics, the UIR, battled for control of the world's emulsion fields. It was a grinding, brutal conflict, a planetary tug-of-war that lasted for decades. Generations were born, lived, and died, knowing nothing but the reality of the Pendulum Wars. It was a conflict of attrition, of slow, bloody gains and devastating losses. Think of the great wars of Earth's 20th century, but stretched over the lifespan of a grandparent. That was the shadow that loomed over everything. You can almost feel the texture of that society, a sense of weary duty, a patriotism born not of glory, but of sheer endurance. The newsreels would have been filled with grainy, black and white images of soldiers in bulky armor, fighting in dusty, far-flung territories. The economy was geared for war. The culture was steeped in it. Everything was in service to the great conflict. The COG, in this environment, evolved. It became more than a government. It became an ideology, founded on 8 core values: order, diligence, purity, labor, honor, loyalty, faith, and humility. They were carved into monuments. They were taught in every school. They were the bedrock of society. On the surface, they sound noble, virtuous even. But beneath them was a cold, hard pragmatism. Order meant control. Diligence meant productivity for the war effort. Loyalty meant absolute obedience. Purity meant conformity. The COG wasn't evil in the way a cartoon villain is evil. It was something far more insidious. It was a system that believed with absolute sincerity that the individual was less important than the whole. That personal freedom was a luxury that could be sacrificed for the greater good of security and stability. And after decades of war, it was an argument that most people were willing to accept. They traded liberty for safety, a bargain as old as time. This was the world that awaited Marcus Fenix, a world of rigid structures and immense expectations. And he was born not just into the COG, but at its very apex. His father was Adam Fenix, a name that carried the weight of a dynasty. Let's step into the house where Marcus grew up. It isn't just a house. It is the Fenix Estate, a sprawling mansion in the prestigious district of Embry Square in the capital city of Fera. Forget the war-torn ruins you might picture. This is before. This is a place of manicured lawns, of towering stone architecture, of quiet, echoing halls. Imagine you are a child again. You're standing in a library that seems to have no end. The walls are lined with dark wood shelves, groaning under the weight of thousands of books. The air smells of old paper, of leather bindings, and the faint, clean scent of polish. Sunlight, thick with dust motes, streams through a high, arched window, illuminating a small patch of the intricate rug on the floor. The silence here is a living thing. It's not an empty silence, but a full one. The silence of accumulated knowledge, of thoughts and ideas waiting to be discovered. This is the world of Adam Fenix, Professor Adam Fenix, one of the most brilliant minds on Sera. He was a military scientist, an engineer, an architect of the very weapons that were keeping the COG war machine running. But he was not a simple man. He was a quiet, reserved intellectual who loved books more than people and logic more than emotion. You can picture him here, lost in thought, his brow furrowed over complex equations that could decide the fate of thousands. Marcus was born into this world of quiet intensity. His mother, Elaine, was a biologist, another brilliant mind. But where Adam was distant and cerebral, Elaine was the warmth in the house. She was the one who understood the messy, illogical, beautiful world of living things. She was the one who could see the boy behind the famous surname. It was a household of intellect, of purpose, but perhaps not one of overt affection. You can feel the pressure on a child in a place like this. The unspoken expectation to be brilliant, to be disciplined, to live up to the name Fenix. Every portrait on the wall, every leather-bound book, every military award displayed in a glass case was a reminder of the legacy he had to carry. It's a heavy burden for small shoulders. Marcus was not a replica of his father. He was quiet, yes, but his was a different kind of quiet. a watchful quiet. Where Adam saw the world as a series of problems to be solved with equations, Marcus saw it as it was: solid, real. He was grounded. He would have been the kind of boy to notice the chip in the stone step that his father walked over every day without seeing. He had his mother's eye for the living world and his father's mind for patterns, but he applied it to the physical, the tangible. Then, when Marcus was still a young boy, his mother disappeared. The official story is that she was lost in the vast, unexplored cave systems beneath the planet's surface while on a research expedition. But for a child, the reasons don't matter. The result is the same: a void. A silence in the house that was no longer full of knowledge, but of absence. The warmth was gone. Adam Fenix retreated even further into his work, into his mind. He loved his son, undoubtedly. But he was a man who likely showed his love through providing security, through ensuring Marcus had the best education, the best opportunities. Not through hugs or easy conversation. Their relationship became one of polite distance, of two people orbiting the same empty space in their lives, unable to bridge the gap. This is where the shape of Marcus Fenix, the soldier, begins to form. He learns self-reliance. He learns to bottle his emotions, to present a stoic face to the world because there is no one there to share the alternative with. He becomes observant, practical. He finds comfort not in abstract theories, but in things he can see and touch. He learns that the world can take things away without warning, and that the only thing you can truly depend on is your own strength. He would have spent his school years at the top, institutions, of course, places like Olafsson Intermediate School, an exclusive boarding school for the children of the COG elite, the sons and daughters of officers, politicians, and scientists. A place where the COG values of order and discipline were instilled from a young age. You can imagine the crisp uniforms, the rigid schedules, the competitive atmosphere. A perfect breeding ground for future leaders, or for rebels. It was here, in the sterile, ordered world of a military academy for children, that Marcus Fenix would meet the single most important person in his life. The one who would fill the void of warmth and connection left by his mother's disappearance. He met Santiago. Now, let's leave the quiet, sterile grandeur of the Fenix estate and travel across town to a different kind of home, a different kind of family, the Santiago home. Where the Fenix estate was cool stone and polished wood, the Santiago house is warm. It's filled with noise, with the smell of cooking, with the easy laughter of a family that is close-knit and deeply affectionate. You can feel the difference in the very air. It's a smaller home, more modest, but it feels more alive. The furniture is comfortable, worn with use. Photographs of smiling faces adorn every surface. This is a house built on love, not legacy. This is the world that created Dom. Dom's parents, Eduardo and Eva, were not famous scientists or high-ranking officials. They were ordinary, hard-working people who loved their children fiercely. Dom had an older brother, Carlos, and a younger one, Marcelo. Their family was their world. They argued, they laughed, they fought, they made up. It was a vibrant, chaotic, loving environment. A world away from the echoing silence of Marcus's childhood home. Dom grew up knowing what it was to belong. He understood loyalty, not as an abstract principle taught in a classroom, but as the simple, unshakable fact of having his brother's back in a playground scrap. He understood family not as a name to live up to, but as a group of people who would always be there for you, no matter what. He was outgoing, charming, quick with a joke. He was everything Marcus wasn't. And yet, when these two boys met at Olafsson Intermediate, they clicked. It was the classic case of opposites attracting, but it was deeper than that. They saw something in each other that they lacked in themselves. Marcus saw in Dom a warmth and an emotional honesty he had never known, a connection to people that seemed to come so effortlessly. Dom, in turn, saw in Marcus a quiet strength, a steadfastness, a loyalty that, once given, would be absolute. He saw that beneath the stoic exterior was someone who felt things just as deeply as he did, but simply didn't know how to show it. Imagine them as boys, sneaking out of their dorms at night. Dom would be the one with the crazy idea, the whispered plan, a grin on his face in the moonlight. Marcus would be the one who pointed out the flaws in the plan, who knew the guards' patrol route, who made sure they didn't get caught. Dom provided the spark. Marcus provided the focus. Together, they were a complete unit. Their friendship was forged in the small rebellions of youth, in shared secrets, in helping each other with homework, and covering for each other. Dom would have drawn Marcus out of his shell, introducing him to friends, teaching him how to navigate the social world that Marcus found so bewildering. Marcus, in turn, would have been Dom's anchor. A calm presence in Dom's more emotional, sometimes turbulent, life. He was the brother Dom chose. You can feel their bond solidifying. It's not something that needs to be spoken about. It's just there. A quiet understanding. The kind of friendship where you can sit in comfortable silence for hours. The kind of friendship where you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that this person would do anything for you, and you for them. This bond became even more important because Dom had his own family tragedy, a loss that would mirror Marcus's in its own way. His parents were on a holiday, a trip to the sun-drenched shores of the island of Galangi. They were caught in a boating accident. A sudden, senseless tragedy that took them both. Just like Marcus, Dom now knew the profound emptiness of loss. He knew what it was to have a hole ripped in the fabric of his world. After their parents' death, Dom and his brothers were raised by their aunt and uncle. But it was in his friendship with Marcus and another close friend, Carlos, that he found his true family. The three of them became inseparable. A tight-knit unit navigating the difficult path of adolescence, bound together by shared experiences and an unshakable loyalty. As they grew older, the shadow of the pendulum wars loomed larger. It wasn't just a distant conflict on the news anymore. It was a future, a duty. For the children of the COG elite, military service wasn't really a choice. It was an expectation. It was the path of honor, the way you paid your debt to the society that had given you so much. For Dom, the decision was simple. His older brother, Carlos, was his hero, a decorated commando in the COG army. Dom wanted to be just like him, to fight alongside him, to earn that same respect and honor. For him, enlisting was a matter of family pride, a way to connect with the brother he idolized. For Marcus, the decision was more complex. His father, Adam, hated the idea. Adam Fenix was a man of science. He built weapons, yes, but he saw the war as a vulgar, inefficient failure of logic. He wanted Marcus to follow in his footsteps, to use his brilliant mind for research, to stay far away from the front lines. He saw military service as a waste of his son's potential. But for Marcus, that was exactly the appeal. Enlisting was the one thing he could do that was entirely his own. It wasn't his father's path. It wasn't about living up to the Fenix name in a laboratory or a university. It was about forging his own identity, on his own terms. It was a way to escape the long shadow of his father and the cold, empty halls of the estate. The army offered something he craved: structure, purpose, and, most importantly, brotherhood. A place where his worth would be measured by his actions, not his name. And a place where he could be with Dom. So they enlisted together. Two young men, barely out of their teens, stepping onto the path that would define the rest of their lives. You can imagine the day they left. The crisp new uniforms feeling stiff and unfamiliar. The weight of the rifle in their hands. The mixture of fear and excitement. The final look back at the civilian world they were leaving behind. The military of the coalition of ordered governments was not a place for sentiment. It was a machine designed to turn boys into soldiers, to strip away their individuality and rebuild them as cogs in a larger mechanism. Basic training would have been a brutal awakening. Long marches under a harsh sun, grueling physical tests designed to push them to their breaking point, instructors screaming in their faces, breaking them down, testing their resolve. You can almost feel the grit of the training ground under your fingernails, the burn in your muscles as you haul yourself over another obstacle, the cold shock of the water in a river crossing, the exhaustion that seeps into your very bones, so profound that you can fall asleep standing up. It's a world reduced to simple things: eat, sleep, train, obey. For many, it's a nightmare. But for someone like Marcus, it made sense. The rules were clear. The objectives were simple. Your actions had immediate, tangible consequences. Pass the test, or you fail. Hit the target, or you miss. There was a purity to it. An honesty that he had never found in the complex, emotionally ambiguous world of his childhood. Dom, with his easy charm and ability to connect with people, would have thrived in the camaraderie of the barracks. He would have been the heart of his unit. The one who could diffuse tension with a joke, who could motivate a struggling squad mate. He understood people. He knew that the strength of the unit wasn't just in its firepower, but in the bonds between its members. Together, they excelled. Marcus's tactical mind and preternatural calm under pressure, combined with Dom's charisma and fierce loyalty, made them a formidable pair. They rose through the ranks. They earned the respect of their peers and their commanding officers. They were model soldiers, the very embodiment of the COG's ideals. And they were finally sent to war. Not a training exercise, the real thing. The pendulum wars were still raging, a seemingly endless conflict fought over the glowing golden blood of the planet. Their first taste of combat would have been a jarring, terrifying experience. The thunder of artillery, the snap of rifle fire, the smell of cordite and fear in the air. The sudden, brutal reality of a world where one wrong move could be your last. This is where their brotherhood was truly tempered. In the crucible of combat, you learn things about a person in a firefight that you could never learn in a lifetime of peace. You see their true character. Do they run? Do they freeze? Or do they stand their ground and fight for the person next to them? Marcus and Dom knew the answer. They fought for each other. They had each other's backs, always. That bond, formed in the quiet corridors of a boarding school, was now an unbreakable shield on the battlefield. It made them better soldiers. It kept them alive. Their service would eventually lead them to the defining moment of their young military careers, and a tragedy that would cement their bond in blood and grief: the Battle of Aspho Fields. It was a major COG offensive against the UIR, a daring raid on a critical weapons manufacturing facility, a key strategic target that could turn the tide of the war. Let's place ourselves there, on the eve of the battle. You are in a troop transport, the air thick with the smell of ozone, sweat, and nervous energy. It's dark. The only light comes from the red glow of the combat lamps, casting long, distorted shadows on the faces of the soldiers around you. They are young, so young. Their eyes are wide in the gloom. You can feel the low, powerful vibration of the vehicle's engines through the metal floor. It's a constant, deep hum that seems to resonate in your chest. Marcus is there, a corporal now, focused. He's methodically checking his Lancer rifle for the 10th time. His movements are precise, economical. He is a picture of calm efficiency. Dom is there too. He's trying to keep the mood light, cracking a joke with a nervous private, but you can see the tension in his eyes. And next to him is his brother, Carlos, a seasoned veteran. He is quiet, a reassuring presence for Dom and the other young soldiers. The battle, when it came, was chaos, a whirlwind of fire and steel. The COG forces made a beach landing, storming the UIR defenses under a torrent of enemy fire. It was hell on earth. The air was filled with explosions, with the scream of rockets, with the staccato rhythm of machine guns. Marcus, Dom, and Carlos fought side by side, pushing forward through the maelstrom. They were a part of the 26th Royal Tiran Infantry, assigned to secure a vital bridge. The fighting was brutal, close quarters. Every inch of ground was paid for in blood. In the midst of this chaos, a UIR gunship appeared, laying down a devastating barrage of fire on their position. Carlos, ever the hero, saw the threat. He saw his brother, he saw his friends, pinned down and about to be annihilated. He made a choice. He broke cover, drawing the gunship's fire, giving his unit the precious seconds they needed to regroup and take it down. It was an act of incredible bravery, an act of ultimate sacrifice. Dom watched his brother die. He saw his hero, the man he had looked up to his entire life, cut down in a blaze of fire. In that single, horrific moment, his world shattered. The war was no longer an adventure. It was no longer about honor and glory. It was a thief that had stolen the most important person in his life. Marcus was there. He pulled Dom to safety. He shielded him. He was the rock that Dom clung to in the storm of his grief. In the aftermath of the battle, a victory for the COG, there was no celebration for them. There was only the cold, heavy reality of loss. Marcus had lost a friend. Dom had lost a brother. The commendations came, of course. Marcus was awarded the Embry Star, the COG's highest military honor, for his valor during the battle. He had been instrumental in the victory, but the medal felt hollow. It was a cold piece of metal that couldn't fill the space Carlos had left behind. That day at Aspho Fields changed them both forever. It stripped away the last of their youthful illusions about war. It taught them the true cost of their profession. But it also forged their bond into something harder than steel. Marcus wasn't just Dom's best friend anymore. He was the only brother he had left. And Dom became the keeper of Marcus's humanity, the one person who could see past the stoic soldier to the man beneath. After Aspho Fields, they continued their service. They became veterans. Hardened soldiers who had seen the worst of what humanity could do to itself. They fought in countless other campaigns, their names becoming legendary within the COG army. Fenix and Santiago, a unit of two, unstoppable, unbreakable. The Pendulum Wars, finally, after 80 long years, began to wind down. The COG, using technology developed by Adam Fenix, gained the upper hand. The Hammer of Dawn, a powerful orbital satellite weapon system, brought the UIR to its knees. A ceasefire was declared. Peace, of a sort, settled over Sera. For the first time in their lives, Marcus and Dom knew a world that wasn't at war. The soldiers came home. There were parades, speeches, a collective sigh of relief from a planet weary of conflict. It seemed that the COG's vision had triumphed. Order had been established. The future looked bright, stable, and secure. Marcus and Dom remained in the army. It was the only life they knew. They were stationed back in Ephyra, the capital city, the city of their youth. But it was different now. They were different. They walked the clean, peaceful streets as changed men. They saw the happy, oblivious civilians and knew the price that had been paid for their peace. Let's return to that balcony where we began. You are standing there again, overlooking the peaceful city. But now you see it through their eyes. You see the ghosts of Aspho Fields in the shadows. You hear the echo of gunfire in the distant hum of traffic. You feel the weight of the past, the sacrifices made, the brothers lost. You are a soldier in peacetime, a guardian with no immediate threat to guard against. It is a strange, uncertain feeling. The world is celebrating, but you are still watchful, still waiting. It is a habit that is hard to break. The calm feels fragile, temporary. Down in the city, Dom would have reconnected with his childhood sweetheart, Maria. He would have found in her a piece of the warmth and love that he had lost, a reason to fight for the future. Marcus would have remained more solitary, finding a quiet purpose in his duty, his bond with Dom, his one true anchor in the world. They are men now, not boys. They have been shaped by loss, by fire, by a loyalty to each other that transcends friendship. They are the best of what the COG can produce. Strong, disciplined, honorable soldiers. They are everything the system wanted them to be. They are protectors of a peace they believe they have secured. The date is the 11th day of the second month of the 87th year of the Pendulum Era. It is a normal day. The sun is shining. People are going to work. Children are playing in the parks. The long war is over. The great struggle is done. All is well. The ground beneath your feet is solid. The air is still. The world feels safe. But deep below the pristine streets of Ephyra, in the dark and secret places of the earth, something is stirring. A threat far older and far more terrible than any human conflict. A nightmare that has been waiting patiently for its moment to rise. Marcus Fenix and Dominic Santiago have survived the War of Men. They have been forged into the perfect weapons to fight it, but they have been prepared for the wrong enemy. Their peace is about to end. Their world is about to break. And their true war is just about to begin. The war has a rhythm of its own, long periods of grinding tension punctuated by sharp, violent crescendos. But in between, there are moments of quiet. Moments like this. You are on a short leave, back in Ephyra. The city feels impossibly clean, impossibly bright, after the mud and concrete gray of the front lines. You and Dom are not in some loud bar, celebrating with the other soldiers. Instead, you have found your way to a place of deeper peace. The gardens of your family estate. You sit on a cold stone bench, the same one you used to hide behind as a child. The air is cool on your face, carrying the faint, sweet scent of the moon vine your mother planted years ago. It only blooms at night. You can feel the intricate carving of the stone through the thin fabric of your civilian shirt. It feels strange not to have the heavy weight of armor on your shoulders, the familiar pressure of straps across your chest. For a moment, you feel untethered, almost too light. Dom is beside you, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees, staring out at the manicured lawns. He is quiet. It is a comfortable silence, one forged in countless battles and shared rations. You do not need to speak to know what he is thinking of. Maria. His children. The simple, beautiful life he fights for every single day. The life that feels a million miles away from the one you have both been living. Your gaze drifts up towards the house. The lights are on in your father's study, as they always are, a solitary beacon of relentless intellect. He is in there with his equations and theories, fighting a different kind of war, a war of knowledge. You wonder if he ever looks out at the world he is trying to save, or if he only sees the numbers that describe it. You chose a different path, a simpler, more direct path. You chose the sword, not the pen. Or, in this age, the lancer. You think of your mother, Elaine. She loved this garden. She used to say that civilization was not about the grand buildings or the powerful armies. It was about having a place where you could grow flowers just for the sake of their beauty. A place where something could be safe enough to be delicate. You look at your hands, calloused and scarred. They are not the hands of a gardener. They are hands designed to break things so that others might be safe enough to build. Dom finally sighs, a soft sound in the evening quiet. He does not turn to look at you. He just speaks to the garden, to the night. He talks about what he will do when the war is finally over. Properly over. He wants to take his children to the coast, to see the ocean. He describes the simple joy of building a sandcastle with his son, of watching his daughter paddle in the surf. His voice is soft, full of a hope so pure it almost hurts to hear. You find yourself nodding, sharing his dream in your own way. Your vision of peace is less detailed. It is an absence. The absence of a rifle in your hands. The absence of the need to check every corner, to listen for the footstep that does not belong. The absence of names being added to memorials. For Dom, peace is a presence. For you, it is simply a quiet lack of war. You hope, for his sake, that his version is the one that comes true. The conversation dies away, leaving only the sound of the city humming in the distance. You both sit there, two soldiers in a garden, caught in a fragile bubble of peace. There is a feeling you cannot shake, a sense that this moment is important, that this quiet, this stillness, is something you must remember. A final, peaceful breath. You watch the lights of the city twinkle, a constellation of lives burning brightly, blissfully unaware that their world is balanced on the edge of a knife. They believe the worst is behind them. They believe tomorrow will be just another day. Imagine you are sitting on the cold metal bench of a COG transport. The air is thick with the smell of ozone, hot metal, and the faint, ever-present scent of gun oil. It's the perfume of the coalition of ordered governments. The perfume of a society that has been at war for as long as anyone can remember. 79 years, 3 generations who have known nothing but the grinding, relentless conflict against the Union of Independent Republics. The Pendulum Wars. It's not a war of ideology. Not really. It's a war for fuel, a war for emulsion. That strange phosphorescent substance that powers the cities, the vehicles, the very pulse of civilization on the planet Sera. And like all precious things, people are willing to die for it, and to kill for it. You have seen it yourself. You are a gear, one of the countless soldiers in the Kogue army. You wear the heavy armor. You carry the standard issue Lancer rifle, its chainsaw bayonet a perfectly grim statement of intent for a perfectly grim world. Around you, other gears sit in silence. They are so young, most of them. Their faces are a mixture of bravado and deep, bone-weary exhaustion. The low hum of the vehicle's engine is a constant drone, a sound you have come to associate with just moving. From one battlefield to the next, you lean your head back against the cool steel wall, letting the vibrations work their way through your skull, a strange kind of comfort. It is in these quiet moments between the chaos that the stories are told. Whispers in the mess hall, legends shared over a canteen of water, and 2 names come up more than any others: Fenix and Santiago, Marcus and Dom. To you, and to many others, they are not yet the towering figures of history they will become. They are just good soldiers. The best, maybe. You have seen them in action. Watched them move with an economy of motion that speaks of years of practice, of a bond that goes deeper than any training manual. Marcus Fenix is the son of the famous scientist Adam Fenix, and he carries that name like a second set of armor. He is quiet, stoic, his eyes missing nothing. He seems to see the geometry of a firefight, the angles of attack and retreat before anyone else does. A natural leader, though he rarely raises his voice. And then there is Dominic Santiago. If Marcus is the calm center of the storm, Dom is the heart of it. Passionate, fiercely loyal, and with a smile that can cut through the gloom of any barracks. He fights not for a legacy, but for a future. A future with his childhood sweetheart, Maria. A future he speaks of in hushed, hopeful tones when the fighting is done for the day. You've seen him show other soldiers pictures from a worn leather wallet, a beautiful woman with dark hair, 2 smiling children. That is what Dom fights for. That is his entire world. Their friendship is the stuff of legend. They grew up together, enlisted together. They move as one unit, a perfect 2-man fire team. Marcus provides the cold logic, Dom provides the heart. And together, they are more than just 2 soldiers. They are a symbol of what it means to be a gear, to have a brother at your back, no matter the cost. You close your eyes, the drone of the transport, a lullaby of war. And you let your mind drift back to the moments that forged these men, the trials by fire that would shape not only their destinies, but the destiny of all Sera. You drift back to a time of mud and rain and shouting sergeants, a time of training, of becoming. You are standing on a training ground. The mud is thick and cloying, trying to pull the boots right off your feet with every step. Rain falls in a relentless gray sheet, soaking through your fatigues until a chill settles deep in your bones. The air smells of wet earth and sweat. A drill sergeant is screaming, his voice a ragged bark that barely carries over the storm. This is where gears are made, in the crucible of exhaustion and pain. You see them even then, Fenix and Santiago. They are younger, their faces not yet etched with the hardness of real combat. But the foundations are there. Marcus is methodical. He tackles every obstacle course, every weapons drill, with a focused intensity that is almost unnerving. He does not complain. He does not falter. He simply does. He learns the weight and balance of every weapon, from the Lancer to the Nasher shotgun, until they are extensions of his own body. You watch him field strip a rifle in the pouring rain, his fingers moving with a speed and confidence that is mesmerizing. Dom is different. He has a raw, natural talent. Where Marcus is precise, Dom is fluid. He has a street-smart quickness to him, an ability to improvise that you just can't teach. He excels in close-quarters training, his movements swift and decisive. He jokes with the other recruits, his laughter a rare spark of warmth in this miserable, muddy place. He helps those who struggle, offering a hand up, a word of encouragement. He is the glue that holds his unit together. Even the drill sergeants seem to have a grudging respect for him. And always, they are together. Partners in every drill. In the sparring ring, they push each other to their limits, a dance of controlled violence that is breathtaking to watch. They share their rations. They cover for each other's mistakes. You see Marcus, the quiet son of a genius, learning to open up just a little under the influence of Dom's easygoing nature. And you see Dom, the boy from the working-class district, gaining a focus and discipline from his friend's quiet determination. You can feel the rough, splintered wood of the barracks wall against your back. Inside, the air is damp and smells of wet wool and old coffee. The rain drums a ceaseless rhythm on the corrugated iron roof. Gears are cleaning their weapons, writing letters home, or simply staring into space, lost in their own thoughts. It is a rare moment of peace. You see Marcus sitting on his bunk, meticulously cleaning his Lancer. Every piece is laid out on an oilcloth, his movements deliberate and unhurried. It is a ritual, a form of meditation in the midst of madness. Dom is nearby, lying on his own bunk, staring at the ceiling. He is not cleaning his weapon. He is holding a small, folded piece of paper. A letter from Maria. You cannot hear what he is saying, but you can see his lips moving, whispering the words to himself. A small smile plays on his face. In this moment, he is not a soldier. He is just a man in love, dreaming of a life beyond the wire fences and the endless war. This is the reality of the pendulum wars. Long stretches of mundane routine, of waiting, of quiet desperation, punctuated by moments of sheer, adrenaline-fueled terror. It is a war of inches, taking a trench, holding a bridge, securing a fuel depot. Small, brutal battles that chew up lives and spit out medals or body bags. You are on patrol with their squad. It is night. The twin moons of Sera cast a pale, eerie light over a ruined cityscape. The skeletons of buildings reach up like broken fingers towards a sky filled with unfamiliar stars. The only sounds are the crunch of your boots on rubble and the whisper of the wind through shattered windows. You know that feeling when you walk into a very old building and the silence has weight? It's like that. Every shadow seems to hold a threat. A UIR soldier, an indie, the enemy. Suddenly, it happens. A flash of light from a darkened window, the sharp crack of a sniper rifle. The air sizzles past your helmet. Instinct takes over. You dive for cover behind a shattered wall, your heart hammering against your ribs. The world dissolves into a confusing cacophony of shouts and muzzle flashes. Return fire erupts from your squad, the guttural roar of the lancers tearing the night apart. And in the midst of this chaos, you see them. Fenix and Santiago. They do not panic. They do not even seem to hesitate. Marcus is already pointing, issuing quiet commands, his voice cutting through the noise. He directs fire, identifies the enemy positions, his mind a cold, calculating machine. He moves from cover to cover with a low, efficient gait, never exposing himself for more than a second. Dom is his perfect counterpart. While Marcus directs, Dom acts. He lays down a terrifying wall of suppressive fire, forcing the enemy to keep their heads down. Then, in a blur of motion, he breaks cover, flanking the enemy position. He moves with a liquid grace, using the shadows and the ruins to his advantage. You see him toss a grenade, a perfect arc that disappears into a darkened doorway. A moment later, a muffled explosion, and the sniper fire stops. It is over in less than a minute. The silence that follows is more deafening than the firefight. The only sound is the ringing in your ears and the distant, mournful howl of the wind. You look at Marcus and Dom. They exchange a simple nod. That is all. No words are needed. They have done this 100 times before. It is their language. The language of combat, of trust, of brotherhood. These small skirmishes, these brutal little encounters, are the building blocks of their legend. With every successful mission, their reputation grows. They become the soldiers you want on your side when things go wrong, the ones who will get you home. Marcus, the immovable object. Dom, the unstoppable force. They are two halves of a whole, a perfectly balanced weapon of war. But this war takes its toll. You see it in the quiet moments. In the way Marcus's gaze seems to linger on the horizon, as if searching for something that isn't there. In the way Dom's smile does not always reach his eyes, especially after reading a letter from home that speaks of a life he is missing. The birth of a child, a first step, a first word. These are the ghosts that haunt them. The sacrifices that are never mentioned in the official reports. The war grinds on. Years pass. Seasons change. The mud turns to dust and back to mud again. The faces of the new recruits get younger and younger. But Fenix and Santiago remain. They are veterans now. Sergeants. Their armor is scarred and battered, each dent and scrape a story of a battle survived. They have seen more than their fair share of fighting, more than their fair share of death. And then comes the mission that will change everything. The one that will cement their names in history, but at a terrible, terrible cost. The mission that will become a legend and a cautionary tale. The Battle of Aspho Fields. You are in a briefing room. The air is stale, thick with the smell of sweat and nervous energy. A map of the Aspho Fields region is projected onto a screen. A collection of islands, a key strategic point for the UIR. It is where they refine their emulsion. More importantly, it is where they are rumored to be developing a new orbital weapon technology. A weapon that could turn the tide of the war. A weapon based on the work of Marcus's own father, twisted into a tool of destruction. Colonel Hoffman is giving the briefing. His voice is a low growl, each word laced with grim determination. This will not be an easy fight. The UIR have fortified the main island, Aspho Point. It is a fortress. A frontal assault would be suicide. But the COG has a plan. A daring, high-risk operation to land on the beaches, punch through the defenses, and secure the weapons designs before the UIR can use them. You feel a knot tighten in your stomach. This is it. One of those moments where history holds its breath. You look around the room. You see Marcus, his face a mask of concentration as he studies the map. You see Dom sitting beside him. He is not looking at the map. He is looking at his brother, Carlos Santiago, who is also in the room. Carlos, a fellow gear, they share a look, a silent promise to watch each other's backs. The objective is clear. Secure the Hammer of Dawn schematics. This technology, in COG hands, could end the war. For Marcus, it is more than just a mission. It is personal. It is his father's legacy, and he will be the one to reclaim it. For Dom, the mission is simpler. Survive, and make sure his brothers, both by blood and by bond, survive with him. You are in the belly of a King Raven helicopter. The noise is incredible. A deafening roar of rotors and engines. The entire aircraft shudders and vibrates, a beast straining against its leash. Through the small porthole, you can see a sky lit by explosions. Tracers, green and red, stitch patterns across the darkness. The UIR knows you are coming. This is not a surprise attack. This is kicking down the front door. The air is filled with the shouts of soldiers and the crackle of the comms. You are packed in shoulder to shoulder with other gears. The heat is oppressive. You can feel the sweat trickling down your back under your heavy armor. The man next to you is reciting a quiet prayer. Another is nervously checking his ammo count for the 10th time. You feel the cold, hard certainty of the moment. Many of you will not be coming back from this. The Raven lurches violently as anti-aircraft fire explodes nearby. The lights flicker. For a heart-stopping second, you are weightless. Then the pilot wrestles the machine back under control. A green light flashes above the ramp. The sergeant bellows the command, "Go, go, go." The ramp drops. You are met with a wall of noise and chaos. The roar of the battle is all-consuming. The air tastes of salt and smoke. You are flying low over a beach. The sand is churned up by explosions, pockmarked with craters. The water is red in places. You see the hulks of downed aircraft, burning vehicles. It is a vision of hell. You jump. The landing jars your entire body. The sand is soft, trying to steal your momentum. You run, head down, towards the relative safety of the seawall. Bullets whip past you, kicking up fountains of sand. The noise is a physical force, pressing in on you from all sides. The scream of dying men, the thunder of artillery, the constant, hateful chatter of automatic weapons. You make it to the seawall, your lungs burning. You press yourself against the cold, rough concrete, trying to make yourself small. You have to move. You know this. Staying here is death. You look for your squad leader. You look for Fenix. He is there, in the heart of the storm. He is not hiding. He is directing. He moves with a calm purpose that seems impossible in this inferno. He points out targets, organizes fire teams, pushes his soldiers forward. He is the anchor in the chaos. Where he goes, others follow. He is a wave of controlled fury, his lancer cutting down any UIR soldier foolish enough to stand in his way. And Dom is with him, always. He is a whirlwind of motion, his Nasher shotgun booming in the confined spaces of the UIR trenches. He fights with a ferocity that is born of love. Love for his wife, his children, his brother Carlos. He's clearing a path for Marcus, for the mission. With him are Carlos and the rest of their squad. They move like a well-oiled machine, brothers in arms fighting for their lives. You push forward, following their lead. You fight your way off the beach, into the labyrinthine network of trenches and bunkers that make up the UIR defenses. The fighting is close, brutal, and personal. It is a desperate, grinding battle for every meter of ground. The air is thick with cordite and the metallic tang of blood. Hours pass in a blur of violence and adrenaline. You lose all track of time. Your world is reduced to the next corner, the next enemy, the next breath. You are on autopilot, your training taking over. But through it all, you are aware of Marcus and Dom, pushing relentlessly towards the primary objective, the research facility, the location of the Hammer of Dawn plans. They are making progress. The COG forces are gaining a foothold, but the UIR are fighting for their home soil, and they are not giving up easily. The resistance is fierce. Every step forward is paid for in blood. And then it happens. The moment that will be seared into the memory of everyone who witnessed it. The moment that will break a brotherhood, even as it forges a legend. Dom's squad is pinned down by heavy machine gun fire from a fortified bunker. They are trapped, caught in a kill box with no cover. Marcus and his team are providing what covering fire they can, but it is not enough. The UIR gunner has them sighted in. It is a death trap. You see Carlos Santiago make a decision, a soldier's decision. He knows someone has to take out that gun. He looks at Dom, a final, quick glance. Then he breaks cover, sprinting towards the bunker, a grenade in his hand. It is a brave move, a foolish move, a necessary move. Time seems to slow down. You watch his desperate run, every muscle straining. The UIR machine gun swivels towards him. You hear Dom scream his brother's name, a sound of pure anguish. The world seems to hold its breath. And then the gun erupts in a torrent of fire. Carlos is thrown backwards, his body ripped apart by the heavy caliber rounds. He falls to the ground, motionless. The grenade rolls from his limp hand. For a single, horrifying moment, there is silence. The entire battlefield seems to pause, to acknowledge the sacrifice. And then Dom breaks. The disciplined soldier vanishes, replaced by a grieving brother. He screams a sound that is not human, a howl of pure, undiluted pain, and he runs out into the open, towards Carlos. He does not care about the machine gun. He does not care about the mission. He only cares about his brother, lying broken in the mud. You see Marcus react. He sees what is happening. He sees his friend, his brother, about to commit suicide. And he is faced with an impossible choice, the choice that will define him for the rest of his life. Go to his friend and risk the mission failing, risk everything they have fought and died for, or complete the mission and pull his friend away from the one thing in the world he wants, his brother. Marcus makes the soldier's choice, the leader's choice, the brutal, necessary choice. He yells Dom's name, but Dom cannot hear him. He is lost in his own world of grief. So Marcus does the only thing he can. He runs to Dom, but not to comfort him. He tackles him, dragging him, kicking and screaming back into cover, away from Carlos's body. He's gone, Dom. He's gone. You hear Marcus yell, his voice strained. We have to move. We have to finish this. You watch as Dom struggles against him, his face a mask of tears and rage. He is fighting the man who is saving his life. He is fighting his best friend. In that moment, something shatters between them, something that can never be fully repaired. The battle rages on around them. But for you, and for them, it is a distant noise. The world has shrunk to this one terrible moment. The choice has been made. The price has been paid. Marcus, his face grim, rallies the remaining soldiers. He leads the final push on the research facility. He secures the Hammer of Dawn schematics. He wins the battle. But as you stand in the smoldering ruins of Aspho Point, watching the COG banners being raised, there is no sense of victory. There is only the hollow ache of loss. You see Marcus standing alone, holding the data disk containing the weapon plans. His father's legacy. His victory. He looks over at Dom, who is kneeling in the mud, cradling his brother's dog tags. And in Marcus's eyes, you see not the triumph of a hero, but the profound sorrow of a man who has just sacrificed a part of his soul. The ride back from Aspho Fields is quiet, deathly quiet. The triumphant roar of the King Raven's engine seems to mock the mood inside. The transport is filled with the wounded and the weary, the survivors. The air is heavy with the smell of antiseptic, blood, and unspoken grief. You sit across from them, Marcus and Dom. They are not speaking. They are not even looking at each other. They exist in separate bubbles of silence, a chasm of loss and duty separating them. Dom stares at the floor, his hands clenched into tight fists. His face is a gray, emotionless mask, but you can see the storm raging behind his eyes. He's replaying that moment, the moment his brother fell, the moment Marcus pulled him away. Marcus sits rigidly, his back straight. He holds the data disk with the Hammer of Dawn schematics in his lap, the prize, the justification for everything. But he does not look at it. His gaze is fixed on some distant point, his jaw set in a hard line. He is the commander who made the tough call, the hero who secured victory. But he looks like a man carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. The victory at Aspho Fields is a turning point in the pendulum wars. The Hammer of Dawn becomes the COG's ultimate weapon. It incinerates UIR cities from orbit. It breaks the back of their army. It ends the 79-year war. A decisive, glorious victory. Speeches are made, parades are held, medals are awarded. You are standing in the back of a grand hall. The architecture is imposing, all polished marble and high ceilings. Banners with the COG emblem hang from the walls. The air is stuffy, filled with the murmur of politicians and high-ranking officers. It feels a world away from the mud and blood of the battlefield. On the stage, Marcus Fenix is being awarded the Embry Star, the Coalition's highest military honor, for his courage, for his leadership, for his actions at Aspho Fields. Colonel Hoffman pins the medal to his chest. There is polite, respectful applause. Marcus stands there, straight and tall in his dress uniform, the perfect image of a hero. But you look at his eyes. They are empty. Your gaze drifts to the audience. Dom is there. He is standing with Maria. He is holding her hand, his knuckles white. He is watching the ceremony, his expression unreadable. When the applause starts, he does not join in. He just stands there, a ghost at the feast, a living reminder of the price of that medal, the cost of that victory. In the years that follow, the war ends. An uneasy peace settles over Sera. The cities are rebuilt. Life goes on. But the scars remain. The physical scars on the landscape and the invisible scars on the souls of the soldiers who fought. Marcus and Dom remain in the army. Where else would they go? The military is the only life they know. Their bond endures. It was forged in childhood, tempered in the fires of training, and sealed in the blood of Aspho Fields. It is unbreakable. But it is different now. It is quieter, heavier. There are things that are left unsaid, a space between them filled with the ghost of Carlos. Marcus carries the burden of his choice. He lives with the knowledge that he saved his friend's life by breaking his heart. He pours himself into his duty, becoming the consummate soldier. He is respected, even feared. But he keeps everyone at a distance. He builds walls around himself, and the embry star on his uniform is just another brick in that wall. Dom carries the burden of his grief. He tries to be the man he was before, the loving husband, the doting father. But the loss of his brother has hollowed him out. He finds his solace in his family, in the love of Maria and his children. They are his anchor in a world that no longer makes sense. But the shadow of Aspho Fields is long, and it touches everything he loves. The friendship that was once a source of easy laughter and simple camaraderie is now a thing of profound, shared sorrow. They understand each other in a way no one else can. They have seen the worst of the world and the worst of themselves together. They do not need to speak of it. They just know. Picture this. It is years later. The war is a memory. You are in a quiet bar, the kind soldiers frequent. The light is dim. The air smells of stale beer and polish. It is late. Marcus and Dom are sitting at a corner table. They are older now. There are flecks of gray in their hair. The lines on their faces are deeper. They are sharing a bottle of whiskey. They are not talking much, just sitting in a comfortable silence that only old friends can share. The silence is not empty. It is filled with everything they have been through. The training grounds. The 100 small battles. The towering, terrible memory of Aspho Fields. They believe the fight is over. They won the war. They survived. They have earned their peace, however fragile it may be. They have faced the worst humanity could throw at them, and they have endured. They are legends. They are brothers. They are survivors. As you sit there, watching them, you feel a faint tremor run through the floor. It is barely perceptible, a slight vibration that rattles the glasses on the shelf. A passing heavy truck, you think to yourself. Nothing more. Marcus and Dom look at each other, a flicker of a question in their eyes. Then they dismiss it. The world is at peace. The fighting is done. But the tremor was not a truck. It was a promise, a whisper from the deep places of the earth, a sign that the 79-year war against their fellow man was only a prelude, a practice run. The real war, the war for the very survival of their species, had not even begun. And it would demand of these two men, these two brothers, sacrifices they could not yet possibly imagine. You walk beside him through the quiet carnage. The great fires have mostly died down now, leaving behind skeletal husks of machinery and blackened craters in the earth. The air is cold, sharp with the metallic tang of blood and the bitter scent of burnt fuel. Dawn is a rumor on the horizon, a faint gray light that does little to warm the scene. It only serves to illuminate the true cost of the night. You watch Marcus. He doesn't speak. His face, smeared with grime and sweat, is unreadable. A mask of exhaustion has settled over his features, but beneath it, you can see something else has taken root, something harder, more resolute. The bright-eyed optimism of the young soldier who charged into this inferno has been burned away, leaving behind the tempered steel of a veteran. He moves with a purpose that feels heavy, each step a conscious effort. His eyes scan the wreckage, not with triumph, but with a grim sense of accounting. He pauses to kneel by a fallen gear, gently closing the soldier's eyes, a small gesture of respect in the vast theater of destruction. There is no fanfare. No grand pronouncements, just a quiet duty being performed, a silent promise to remember. This is the birth of the leader you will come to know, forged not in strategy rooms, but here, in the quiet, desolate aftermath. Then you see Dom. He is a different kind of quiet. Where Marcus seems to be building walls within himself, Dom is an open wound. You see him with another survivor, binding a wound with a practiced, gentle hand. His voice is a low murmur, a stream of quiet comfort that cuts through the chilled air. He is the soul of this band of brothers, the one who feels the pain for everyone so they don't have to carry it all themselves. His gaze finds Marcus across the debris field. It's a fleeting glance, but it holds a conversation, an understanding that needs no words. "Are you all right?" it asks. Marcus gives a slow, almost imperceptible nod. "I am here." The bond between them, already strong, is now being reforged in this shared crucible, hardened by the horrors they have witnessed and the losses they have endured together. It has become something unbreakable. The victory feels hollow in the gray morning light. The objective was taken, the hammer strike successful. But as you look around, at the makeshift aid stations and the silent, covered forms, the word victories seems strangely inappropriate. It was a trade. A brutal exchange paid in lives. You feel the immense weight of it settle over the entire field, a silence more profound than any explosion. You notice a small, scorched photograph lying near an enemy soldier's position. A family, smiling into a camera in a time before all this. A wife, 2 children. It is a stark, poignant reminder that the war is fought by people, not just uniforms. Each casualty on either side is a universe of memories and relationships extinguished. Marcus sees it too, but his face betrays nothing. He simply looks away and continues his grim patrol. This is the price of duty. The pendulum wars are a meat grinder, and Aspho Fields was one of its most terrible nights. For Marcus and Dom, the war is no longer an abstract concept, a fight for principles and resources. It is this: the smell of smoke, the feel of grit in your teeth, the memory of a friend's last breath. They are no longer just soldiers following orders. They are survivors, marked forever by the fires they walked through. This night will echo through the rest of their lives. It will inform every decision, every sacrifice. It will be the bedrock of their loyalty, a shared memory so potent that it makes all other allegiances secondary. They will carry the ghosts of Aspho Fields with them into every battle to come, a silent council of the fallen who remind them what is at stake. The sun finally breaks over the horizon, casting long, mournful shadows across the scarred landscape. Its light paints the smoke-filled sky in shades of orange and pink, a beautiful, terrible dawn. The fires on the field have gone out. But a new, more enduring fire has been lit inside these men, an ember of grim resolve that will never, ever be extinguished. Imagine the quiet. Not the silence of an empty room, but the gentle hum of a city at peace. A city that believes its great struggles are behind it. You are here, in this moment, a full decade after the fires of Aspho Fields have cooled to memory. The air in Ephyra is soft tonight, carrying the distant scent of night-blooming flowers from the grand estates and the faint metallic tang of industry that never truly sleeps. You are walking through a city bathed in a warm, artificial light. The sky is a deep, velvety indigo, a perfect canvas for the pinpricks of unfamiliar stars. The pendulum wars are over. The soldiers have come home. Statues have been raised, medals have been awarded, and a generation is trying to learn the rhythms of a life without conflict. The great machine of the Coalition of Ordered Governments, the COG, has shifted its focus from destruction to construction, from war to prosperity. It is an age of supposed peace, an age of progress. But peace is never a simple thing. It is not a destination you arrive at, but a garden you must tend. And beneath the well-manicured lawns of Ephyra, beneath the gleaming marble of its monuments, old roots remain. Scars, both seen and unseen, still ache when the weather turns. Tonight, you find yourself drawn to a quieter part of the city, away from the bustling boulevards and the bright cafes. Here, the streets are lined with old, established trees, their leaves whispering secrets to the gentle breeze. You are walking beside two men, shadows in the soft twilight. They walk with a purpose that has long since faded, a military bearing that they can no more shed than their own skin. One is a mountain of a man, broad-shouldered, his presence filling the space around him. Marcus Fenix. His face is a mask of stoic calm, but you can feel the weight he carries. It is in the set of his jaw, the way his eyes scan the street, not out of paranoia, but out of a deep and ingrained habit. He is a hero of the war, the hero of Aspho Fields. But the title sits on him like an ill-fitting coat. The other man, Santiago, walks with a lighter step. His energy is different, grounded. Where Marcus is a fortress, Dom is a hearth. He gestures as he speaks, his voice a low, warm murmur that blends with the sounds of the evening. He is talking about his family, about his wife, Maria, about his children. His words paint a picture of a life rebuilt from the ashes of war, a life he fought for, a life he holds on to with a quiet, fierce tenderness. These are the quiet years, the long peace, a fragile, precious time nestled between the brutal certainty of the past and a future that no one can yet imagine. Join them now in this interlude. Feel the cool night air on your skin. Listen to the sound of their footsteps on the pavement, and let us explore the world they tried to build and the unseen cracks that were already forming in its foundation. Let's turn back the clock just a little to the days immediately following the war's end. Picture a parade ground, vast and impersonal. The sunlight is bright, almost harsh, glinting off polished boots and the brass of military bands. The air is thick with the forced solemnity of official ceremony. You are standing in the ranks, a soldier among soldiers, your uniform stiff and unfamiliar in this time of peace. On a raised dais, dignitaries speak in platitudes. They talk of sacrifice, of honor, of a brighter future. Their words are carried on the wind, hollow sounds that do not seem to connect with the reality of what was lost, of what was done. And then, a name is called: Marcus Fenix. You watch him move. He walks with a controlled precision, each step measured. He ascends the steps to the dais, his face unreadable. He is being awarded the Embry Star, the COG's highest military honor. A small, intricate piece of metal meant to encapsulate the entirety of his actions at Aspho Fields. The courage, the loss, the impossible choices made in the smoke and the fire. As the chairman pins the medal to his chest, there is a polite, rolling wave of applause. Cameras flash. For a moment, he is the perfect image of a hero. Strong, resolute, a symbol of the COG's victory. But you can feel the disconnect. You can see it in his eyes. He is not here on this parade ground. He is somewhere else entirely. He is back in the heat and the dust with the brothers he lost. The metal feels cold against his uniform, heavy, not with the weight of honor, but with the weight of memory. It is a symbol for others, not for him. For him, the only symbols that matter are the names of the fallen. Names that are not read aloud at ceremonies like this. Names like Carlos, Dom's brother. Names that are carried in the silent spaces between heartbeats. Later, you are with him in the car ride home. The city flashes past the armored glass, a blur of celebrating civilians and victory banners. Beside him sits his father, Adam Fenix, the brilliant scientist, the architect of so much of the COG's military technology. But he is not a soldier, and he does not look at his son with simple, uncomplicated pride. There is a distance between them, a silence that is more profound than any noise. Adam Fenix looks at the Embry star and then at his son's face. He sees the cost. He sees the man his son has become, forged in a fire that he, the scientist, can only understand in theoretical terms, of thermodynamics and ballistics. He does not understand the language of brotherhood and loss that is now his son's native tongue. Marcus says nothing. What is there to say? How can you explain the choices made in the crucible of battle to a man who lives in a world of equations and blueprints? How do you describe the feeling of losing everything to save what remains? So they ride in silence, the hero and his creator. A father and son separated by a chasm of experience. Imagine the Phoenix estate. It is not a home. It is a monument. A sprawling mansion of cold stone and hard angles, filled with priceless art and technological wonders. It is a place of intellect and order, but not of warmth. You follow Marcus through its grand, echoing halls. Your footsteps are loud on the polished marble floors. The air is cool and still, smelling faintly of old paper and ozone from the labs below. This is where Marcus grew up. But it was never his world. He was a boy of scraped knees and muddy boots in a house of sterile perfection. He was a creature of instinct and action in a place dedicated to thought and theory. Now, returning as a war hero, the contrast is even more stark. His uniform, the symbol of his world, feels out of place here, an intrusion of brutal reality into a sanctuary of abstract ideas. He stands in his father's library. The walls are lined floor to ceiling with books, not novels or poetry, but dense scientific texts, schematics for weapons systems, treatises on orbital mechanics and particle physics. This is Adam Fenix's mind made manifest. A fortress of logic. Marcus touches the spine of a book. The leather is cool and smooth. He can't read the title. The language of his father's work is as foreign to him as the language of the enemy he just defeated. He feels like a ghost in his own home. He is haunted by the past and disconnected from the present. The Embry star in his pocket is a cold, hard reminder of a world that his father, in all his genius, will never comprehend. And so, Marcus retreats. He finds solace not in the grand halls of his ancestral home, but in the quiet companionship of the one person who truly understands, the one person who was there, Dom. Now, shift your perspective. Leave the cold marble of the Fenix estate and travel across the city. Follow the sound of distant laughter and the smell of food cooking on a stove. You arrive at a small, unassuming house in a modest neighborhood. The paint on the door might be slightly chipped, but the windows are clean and a light glows warmly from within. This is the Santiago home, and it is the complete opposite of the Fenix mansion. It is a place of life. Step inside. The air is warm and filled with the scent of spices and baking bread. The floorboards creak softly under your feet. The furniture is not priceless, but it is comfortable, chosen for use and not for display. Photographs line the mantelpiece. A wedding photo, Dom and a radiant Maria. Pictures of smiling family members. A recent one of a tiny swaddled baby. This is the world Dom fought for. It is not an abstract concept like victory or honor. It is this. The feeling of a warm room on a cool night. The sound of his wife's voice from the kitchen. The quiet, peaceful weight of his firstborn son, Benedicto, sleeping in his arms. You can feel the texture of the soft blanket wrapped around the child, the gentle rhythm of his breathing against your chest. Dom is a different man here. The soldier is still present, of course, in the way he instinctively positions himself to see the door, in the quiet vigilance that never truly leaves him. But here, that instinct is protective, not aggressive. It is the watchfulness of a father, a husband. He has found his anchor in a world that tried to set him adrift. Think about his journey. He grew up alongside Marcus, a brother in all but blood. He followed Marcus into the military, into the heart of the Pendulum Wars. He was at Aspho Fields. He saw his own brother Carlos die in his arms. He experienced the same horrors, the same losses. But where the war hollowed out a space in Marcus, it filled Dom with a desperate, urgent need for life, for family, for something to build instead of destroy. Maria is his center of gravity. She knew him before the war, and she sees the man he is, not just the soldier he was forced to become. Their love is not a grand, dramatic romance. It is something deeper, quieter. It is built in the small moments. A shared look across a crowded room. A hand on the small of his back as he leaves for duty. The easy silence of two people who know each other completely. Imagine you are sitting with them at their dinner table. The meal is simple but delicious. Marcus is here too. In this house, he is not the hero of Aspho Fields. He is just Marcus, Uncle Marcus. He holds little Benedicto, and for a moment, the hardness in his face softens. He looks awkward, a giant holding something impossibly fragile, but there is a tenderness there. Here, the silence is not the cold, empty silence of the Fenix estate. It is a comfortable silence, punctuated by the clinking of cutlery and the gurgles of a happy baby. Dom and Maria talk about their day, about fixing a leaky tap, about a neighbor's new puppy. The small, beautiful, mundane details of a life at peace. For Marcus, this house is a sanctuary, a borrowed piece of the normality he can't seem to find for himself. He watches Dom with Maria. He sees the easy affection, the shared jokes, the unspoken understanding. He sees a life that feels a million miles away from his own. Dom has found a way to bridge the gap between the soldier he was and the man he wants to be. He has built a home. For Marcus, the war is a fortress he can't seem to escape. He is still on duty, still on watch, even here in the warmest and safest of places. As the years of this long peace roll by, Dom's family grows. A daughter is born. Sylvana. The little house becomes louder, more chaotic, more filled with life. You can almost feel the texture of the worn-out rug where the children play, littered with wooden toys and picture books. The sun streams through the window, catching dust motes dancing in the air. This is Dom's victory. Every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every sleepless night with a crying baby. This is the prize he won at Aspho Fields. He has a purpose that extends beyond the uniform. He is a father, a husband. He is building a future, one day at a time. It is a quiet, thankless, beautiful kind of heroism. And it is the anchor that keeps him steady, while his best friend, his brother, seems to drift further and further into his own isolating silence. But this long peace is not as stable as it appears. While families like the Santiagos build their lives, and soldiers like Marcus Fenix try to forget, other forces are at work. Deep beneath the surface of the planet Sera, you cannot see them. You cannot hear them. But you can feel the faintest of tremors if you pay close attention. Picture yourself in a bustling city square in Ephyra. It is a decade into the peace. The victory banners are gone, replaced by commercial advertisements. People hurry past, their minds on their work, their families, their evening plans. The world feels solid, permanent. But look closer. Listen to the whispers at the edges of the crowd. There are stories, strange stories from the outer territories. Miners working in the emulsion fields, the planet's lifeblood, are getting sick. A new disease, a cough that rattles the lungs and turns them to stone. They call it rust lung. The official reports from the COG are reassuring. They say it is an industrial illness, contained, manageable, nothing for the citizens of the capital to worry about. But the stories persist. There are other rumors too, not just of sickness, but of disappearances. Entire settlements on the frontier going dark. Communication lost. When COD patrols are sent to investigate, they find nothing. No bodies, no signs of a struggle. Just empty homes and meals left half-eaten on tables. An unsettling, chilling silence where there was once life. You might see a news report on a public view screen. A dry, official voice talking about geological instability. Unexplained seismic events. Again, the message is calm. The COG has everything under control. But there is a subtle unease beginning to creep into the collective consciousness. A feeling that the ground beneath their feet is not as solid as they believed. Now, let's return to the Fenix estate, to the cold, quiet halls. Adam Fenix has become more reclusive over the years. He spends almost all his time locked away in his subterranean laboratory, a place Marcus has not been allowed to enter since he was a child. You can stand outside the heavy steel door. You can feel a faint vibration through the soles of your feet. You can hear a low, deep hum from within, the sound of powerful, unknown machines at work. Marcus sometimes sees his father late at night, a fleeting glimpse of a man haggard with exhaustion, his lab coat stained, his eyes wide with a desperate, frantic energy. He mutters about calculations, about misinterpretations of the data, about running out of time. But he will not explain. He will not let his son in. He is trying to solve an equation that involves the fate of the entire world, and the weight of that knowledge is crushing him. Adam Fenix knows something is wrong. He has seen the signs. He has connected the dots between the rust lung, the disappearances, the seismic activity. He is a man of science, and he is staring at a conclusion so monstrous, so unthinkable that he cannot bring himself to speak it aloud. He believes he can solve it alone. He can build a weapon, a countermeasure. He can save the world from the sterile safety of his lab without having to expose it to the panic and the chaos of the truth. This is the great tragedy of Adam Fenix. His love for his son and for humanity manifests as secrecy. He wants to protect Marcus from the coming storm, and so he pushes him away. He builds a wall of silence between them, believing it is a shield. Marcus, the soldier, feels only the cold rejection. He sees a father who disapproves of his life, who has retreated into a world of machines and secrets. He doesn't see a man desperately trying to prevent a nightmare from becoming reality. The unseen cracks are spreading. You can feel it now. It is in the air. A subtle tension. A sense of wrongness that you can't quite name. It's like the moment of stillness before a storm breaks. The sky darkens. The birds fall silent. The world holds its breath, waiting. The people of Sera go about their lives, unaware that they are living on borrowed time. They are sleeping peacefully in a house whose foundations are being eaten away from below. The long peace has been a beautiful illusion, a dream of safety. But the dawn is coming, and it will bring with it an awakening more terrible than anyone could ever have imagined. Let us go now to the very last day, the final evening of the old world. It is a cool, clear night in Ephira, the kind of night that feels full of quiet promise. You are with Marcus. He is leaving the barracks, his duty for the day done. The military has grown complacent in the years of peace. The drills are routine. The vigilance has softened. It is just a job now for most. He is on his way to Dom's house. It is a regular occurrence, a weekly dinner, a ritual of friendship that has sustained him through the empty years. As he walks, you can feel the familiar rhythm of the city around you, the distant rumble of a train, the murmur of conversations from open windows, the laughter of children playing in a park as dusk settles. It is all so perfectly, beautifully ordinary. Feel the cool air on your face. The slight breeze rustles the leaves in the trees above. The streetlights cast long, gentle shadows on the pavement. There is nothing to suggest that this night is any different from the thousands that have come before it. Nothing to indicate that the world is standing on the brink of an abyss. He arrives at the Santiago home. The warm light spills out from the doorway as Dom opens it. You are welcomed inside by the familiar smells of home cooking and the happy chaos of two young children who are excited to see their Uncle Marcus. Benedicto, older now, runs to show him a drawing. Silvana, still small, hides shyly behind her mother's legs. Maria smiles, a warm, genuine smile that always seems to reach her eyes. She takes Marcus's coat. In this house, he is family. The conversation around the dinner table is light. Dom talks about a problem with his truck. Maria talks about a funny thing their daughter said that day. They make plans for the weekend. A trip to the park, perhaps. A picnic. Savor this moment. Luxuriate in its simplicity. The taste of the food, lovingly prepared. The warmth of the room. The sound of the children's laughter. This is the world in its final moment of innocence. It is a snapshot of everything that is about to be lost. Every small, precious detail is a treasure. The way the candlelight flickers on the walls, the feel of the wooden chair beneath you, the soft weight of a child leaning against your leg under the table. Later, as the children are being put to bed, Marcus and Dom sit in the living room. The house grows quiet. They talk, as they always do, in the easy shorthand of lifelong friends. They speak of the past, of the army, of old friends. They speak of the future, but only in the most casual of terms. Dom's plans to add a room to the house. Marcus's next duty rotation. Their horizons are small, personal, and blissfully unaware. From the window, you can see the lights of Ephyra twinkling across the valley. A city of millions, all sleeping, dreaming, living their lives. A city that has no idea that it is hollow, that an empire of monsters is stirring beneath its streets. An army of nightmares is gathering, preparing to rise. It is time for Marcus to leave. He stands at the door. Maria gives him a hug. Dom claps him on the shoulder, a familiar, brotherly gesture. "See you next week," he says. Simple words. A simple promise, made with the absolute certainty that next week will come, and it will be just like this one. You walk with Marcus back through the sleeping city. The streets are empty now. The air has grown colder. The moon casts a pale silver light on the silent buildings. Your footsteps echo in the quiet. He walks with his head down, lost in thought. Perhaps he is thinking of the warmth of Dom's home. Perhaps he is feeling the familiar loneliness that awaits him at the Fenix estate. He is just a man, walking home after a pleasant evening with his friend. That is all. He reaches his own front door, the grand, imposing entrance to the cold house. He turns the key in the lock. The sound is loud in the silence. The door swings open into darkness. He steps inside, and the door clicks shut behind him, sealing him in with the ghosts of his past and the secrets his father keeps. All across Sera, people are turning off their lights. They are pulling their blankets close. They are whispering goodnight to their loved ones. They are closing their eyes and drifting into dreams of a peaceful tomorrow. They are safe. They are home. The long peace holds for one last night, but the sun will rise in a few short hours, and with it, everything will change. The day that is coming has a name, Emergence Day. You trace the lines of the chainsaw bayonet on your lancer. The metal is cool and familiar under your fingertips. It is a tool of war, but in these quiet years it has become something else. A memento. A reminder of a promise you made to yourself on the beaches of Aspho. You keep it impeccably clean, not out of military regulation, but out of a personal quiet ritual. Each component disassembled, oiled, and reassembled in the silent solitude of your barracks room. It is a language you understand, a problem with a clear solution. Dom finds his peace differently. You see it when you visit him and Maria. Their home is filled with a warmth that feels almost alien to you. The smell of cooking hangs in the air, a stark contrast to the scent of gun oil and sterilized corridors you are used to. Dom laughs easily here. He holds Maria's hand. He talks about the future in a way you find difficult to comprehend. A future with children, with a garden, a life beyond the uniform. He tries to include you in this world. He invites you for dinners, for drinks, for moments of simple, uncomplicated peace. And you go because he is your brother in all but blood. You sit at their table, a ghost in their machine of happiness. You smile. You talk, but a part of you remains on duty. A part of you is still scanning the horizon for a threat that has no name. You feel the weight of your father's legacy, the cold shadow of the COG, the memory of Carlos's face still so sharp in your mind. You walk through the streets of Ephyra during your leave. The city gleams. Its pristine marble towers and manicured parks are a testament to the coalition's victory and prosperity. Propaganda posters are plastered on walls showing smiling, gears shaking hands with civilians. The message is clear. The war is over. The COG has brought order, safety, but you feel a dissonance in the air. A low hum of anxiety beneath the polished surface, as if the entire city is holding its breath. The news reports speak of economic booms and technological marvels. They celebrate the dawn of a new golden age powered by emulsion. This golden liquid, this lifeblood of Sera, is everywhere. It fuels the cities, the vehicles, the very heart of the COG's power. Its faint, iridescent glow is the color of progress itself. But you hear whispers. Rumors from miners who work deep beneath the earth. Stories of strange sicknesses, of tunnels that collapse for no reason, of disappearances that are quickly covered up. The official term is Rüstung, a miner's disease, a tragic but accepted cost of progress. Nothing to worry about for those living on the surface. Yet the stories persist. They speak of strange vibrations in the deep mines of sounds that are not geological. The COG dismisses it as superstition. Hysteria from men who spend too long in the dark. But you have learned to trust the instincts of men who work on the front lines, whether that line is a trench or a mining tunnel. Your own father is a man of science, a figure of immense respect and intellect. But when you visit him at his estate, the conversations are stilted. He speaks of equations and theories you cannot grasp. His eyes look past you, focused on a problem that consumes him entirely. He rarely speaks of your mother or of the war. He sees your uniform, your medals, the scars you carry, but you feel he does not truly see you. He sees a component, a soldier. A piece of a puzzle he is desperately trying to solve. Sometimes, late at night in his study, you see him hunched over strange geological maps of Sera's deep hollows. He mutters about tectonic resonance and subterranean ecosystems. You ask him what he is working on, and he offers a dismissive wave of his hand. Contingency planning, he calls it, necessary work for the continued security of the coalition. But you see the fear in his eyes. It is the same look you saw in the eyes of new recruits before their first drop. It is the look of a man who knows a terrible secret and is powerless to stop it. You feel the distance between you growing like a chasm. He is retreating into his work, into a world of numbers and theories, while you are grounded in the world of orders and action. You wish you could understand him. You wish you could bridge that gap. But his world is locked away behind equations and classified data. All you know is that the man who designed the weapons that won one war is now terrified of another. The years drift by in this strange, suspended peace. The seasons change. The trees in Jacinto's parks shed their leaves and grow them anew. Children are born who have never known the sound of an Indie mortar shell. For them, the pendulum wars are just stories in a history book. For you, they are yesterday. The faces of the fallen are etched behind your eyes. They are the ghosts that stand with you on the parade ground. You and Dom continue to serve. You lead training exercises for a new generation of gears who are younger and more optimistic than you ever were. You stand on parade grounds. You are symbols of a war that has been won. You are the guardians of a peace that feels increasingly fragile. You see it in the way Chairman Prescott looks at the military budget, the way new, heavier weapons are being quietly developed, the way security checkpoints become more common in the cities. The COG is not demobilizing, it is preparing. But for what? The enemy is defeated. One evening you are standing on a balcony overlooking the city. The lights of Ephira stretch out below you like a blanket of captured stars. The air is cool and carries the distant sounds of city life. It is beautiful. It is peaceful. Dom is beside you, silent. He's thinking of Maria, of their future. You are thinking of nothing and everything. The familiar weight of your lancer, the silence of your father's home, the echoes of the past. There is a tremor. So slight at first, you almost dismiss it as a passing heavy vehicle. But it is not. It is a deep, resonant shudder that comes from the very bones of the planet. The glass of water on the table beside you ripples. A car alarm goes off in the distance, then another. Dom looks at you, his easy smile gone. In his eyes you see a question, the same question that is forming in your own mind. The tremor passes. The city returns to its slumbering hum. The moment is gone, but something has changed. An invisible line has been crossed. The quiet hum of anxiety that has lingered for years is now a clear, resonant note. The piece was not a conclusion. It was an intermission. And you feel with a certainty that chills you to your core that the curtain is about to rise on a new and terrible act. The long piece is over. A new war is about to begin. Close your eyes. Let the weight of the day settle. Allow your body to grow heavy and your mind to become still. There is nothing to do now, nothing to solve. Simply be here in this quiet moment and listen. Imagine you are standing in a room so large it feels more like the inside of a monument than a home. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint, clean scent of old books and lemon polish. You know that feeling when you walk into a very old building and the silence has weight? That's this house. Dust motes dance in the long shafts of afternoon light that cut through tall, arched windows, illuminating the deep, rich grain of a wooden floor that has been walked upon for generations. This is the Fenix estate, your home, a place of quiet legacy and of heavy, heavy silence. You are Marcus Fenix, and for the first time in your adult life, the long war is over. The Pendulum Wars are a chapter in a history book now, a collection of scars and ghosts that you carry, but they no longer scream for your attention. Peace. This is what it feels like. A quiet afternoon in a silent house. You run a hand along the back of a leather armchair. The material is worn smooth, cool to the touch. It was your father's favorite chair. It still is, though he is rarely here to sit in it. Adam Fenix. A man of science, a mind always churning through problems you couldn't begin to comprehend. His presence lingers in the perfect order of the books on the shelves, in the complex schematics left on a side table, in the very air of quiet contemplation that fills this house. Your relationship with him is, like this house, grand, full of unspoken history, but with too many empty rooms. You remember being a child, walking these same halls, your small footsteps swallowed by the vastness. You'd look for him, finding him not in the living spaces, but in his laboratory. He would look up, his eyes seeming to focus from a great distance, a brief smile touching his lips before he returned to his work. A world away. Love was there. You know it was. It was in the quality of the education he provided, the safety of this home, the expectation of excellence he placed upon you. But it was a quiet, academic kind of love, a love of theory, not of practice. It was a blueprint for affection, precise, but cold. The silence of the house presses in. It's a familiar weight, but today it feels heavier. Or perhaps you are just lighter without the constant threat of war to occupy your thoughts. Peace has a way of leaving you alone with yourself. with the ghosts you've earned. Aspho Fields. The faces of men you lost, the choices you made. They are not nightmares anymore, just quiet companions in the silent rooms of your memory. You push yourself away from the chair, your boots making a soft, solitary sound on the polished wood. It is time to go. The silence here is a fine wine, best appreciated in small doses. You need something else, something warmer. You need the noise and easy comfort of family, not your own, but the one you chose. You step outside. The grand stone facade of the estate seems to watch you leave. The air of the Jacinto Plateau is clean, filtered, the air of wealth and influence. The gardens are perfectly manicured, a stark contrast to the beautiful, chaotic wilderness of Sera's wilder places. Everything here is controlled, ordered, tamed. Your walk takes you through the pristine streets of Afira's most exclusive district. The architecture is monumental, a testament to the COG's power and permanence. Great white stone buildings gleam in the afternoon sun. Fountains splash in serene plazas. There is a sense of calm, of impenetrable security. This is the heart of the coalition, the city that won the war. The people you pass are dressed in fine clothes, talking in low, confident tones. They look at you, and you can see the recognition in their eyes. You are a Fenix, a hero of Aspho Fields. They see the uniform you no longer wear. They see the medals you keep in a box somewhere. They do not see the man inside. They do not see the quiet ache for something simpler. As you move further from the plateau, the city begins to change. The architecture becomes more functional, more human scale. The streets are a little more crowded, the sounds a little louder. You hear the distant rumble of a utility vehicle, the chatter of a marketplace, the laughter of children. The air smells different here too. Less like sterile gardens and more like life itself. Food being cooked, rain drying on warm pavement, people. You turn onto a familiar street. The houses are smaller, built close together. Each has its own small patch of garden, some overflowing with colorful, unruly flowers, a riot of life against the neat brickwork. This is where Dom lives. And as you approach his house, a smile touches your lips without you even realizing it. You don't even have to knock. The front door is open, a silent invitation. From inside, you can hear the easy murmur of conversation and the clatter of pots and pans. And you can smell it. The rich, warm, unmistakable scent of Maria Santiago's cooking. Garlic. Herbs. Something savory roasting slowly. You step across the threshold, and the warmth of the house envelops you like a blanket. It's a physical sensation. The air is warmer here, filled with the steam from the kitchen and the sheer energy of the people within it. Dom is at the table, leaning back in his chair, telling a story to his children. They listen, eyes wide. He sees you and his face breaks into a wide, genuine grin. A grin that has pulled you through the darkest days. Marcus, about time you showed up. We were about to start without you. Maria looks over from the stove, her hands dusted with flour. She gives you a smile that feels like sunshine. There is always a plate for you here, Marcus. You know that. This is the Santiago home. It is the absolute opposite of the Fenix estate. Where your house is silent, this one is filled with sound. Laughter, shouting, music playing softly from a radio. Where your house is ordered and pristine, this one is lived in. Toys are scattered on the floor. Drawings are stuck to the refrigerator. It is a comfortable clutter that speaks of a life being fully and joyfully experienced. You take a seat, and one of the children immediately climbs into your lap, showing you a drawing of a monstrous-looking creature. You admire it with appropriate seriousness. This is your other family, the one forged not by blood, but by fire. Dom Santiago. Your brother in all but name. He saw you through the war, and now he is seeing you through the peace. He pushes a cold bottle of beer across the table to you. Your fingers wrap around the cool, damp glass. It feels grounding, real. He leans forward, his voice lower now. "How's your dad?" "The same," you say. And that is all that needs to be said. Dom understands. He understands the silences, the weight of a famous name. His own family, the Santiagos, were heroes too. His parents, his brother Carlos, Aspho Fields, took so much from both of you. But where the loss made your family retreat into quiet, intellectual grief, it made Dom's hold on to what remained with even more ferocious love. He claps you on the shoulder, a solid, reassuring weight. "Well, you're here now. Forget all that. Maria's making stew." The afternoon melts into evening in a comfortable haze of good food and easy company. You eat at the big wooden table, its surface scarred with the marks of countless family meals. The stew is rich and hearty, food that warms you from the inside out. You listen to stories about neighbors, about school, about Dom's plans for the garden. Mundane things. Beautiful, ordinary things. These are the spoils of victory, not the medals or the parades. It is this: the right to a quiet evening, the right to sit at a friend's table and worry about nothing more than if there is enough bread to soak up the gravy. For so long, every meal was taken with one ear listening for an alarm, with the tension of imminent danger coiled in your stomach. To eat without fear. It is a luxury you are still getting used to. After dinner, as Maria puts the children to bed, you and Dom retreat to the garage. This is another sacred space, a place of quiet work and easier conversation. The garage smells of oil, metal, and sawdust. Tools hang in neat rows on the walls. In the center of the space is a half-restored civilian vehicle, a project Dom has been working on for months. He hands you a wrench, and you fall into a familiar rhythm. No orders given. You know what he needs you to do. Your hands, so accustomed to the cold, hard mechanics of a lancer, find a different kind of purpose here. Loosening a bolt, cleaning a component. The work is steady, repetitive, a kind of meditation. You feel the cool, smooth weight of the metal tool in your hand. The only sounds are the scrape of metal on metal, the soft click of a socket wrench, your own steady breathing. The single light bulb hanging from the ceiling casts long shadows, making the small space feel intimate and safe. A haven. "Remember that time in Aspho?" Dom says, his voice quiet, "when we had to hotwire that UIR transport under heavy fire?" A half laugh escapes you. A grunt. "I remember you almost getting us both killed. You cut the red wire." "It's usually the red wire," he says, a grin in his voice. "This is easier. No one's shooting at us." And he is right. It is easier, but the memories are always there, just beneath the surface. Time has smoothed the edges. Now they are just stories you tell in the quiet of a garage. Proof that you survived. Proof that you were there together. You work in comfortable silence for a while. The shared task is a bond between you. It is how you talk about the things you cannot find words for, the fear, the loss, the guilt of being the ones who came home. Every tightened bolt is a small act of putting a broken world back together. The car you are working on is not a military vehicle. No armor plating, no gun turret. It is designed for driving on open roads, for taking a family to the coast. It is a symbol of a future you both fought for, a future where a car is just a car, not a weapon or a target. Maria wants to take the kids to see the ocean, Dom says, wiping his hands on a rag. Once this thing is running, just drive south, see the sights, no schedule, no mission objective. Sounds nice, you say. And it does. The idea is so simple, so peaceful, it feels like a dream. The ocean. You have seen it from the deck of a naval vessel, a gray, angry expanse. You have assaulted it from a landing craft, the taste of salt and fear in your mouth. You have never just stood on a beach and watched the waves. You should come with us, Dom says. It's not a question. It's a statement of fact. Of course you would come. Where he goes, you go. That has been the rule for years. You look at him, at your brother. In the low light of the garage, the scars on his arms are faint silver lines against his skin. Trophies. But his eyes are clear. The haunted look they held for so long has faded, replaced by a deep, settled contentment. He has found his peace. In his family. In this small, cluttered garage. He is trying to share it with you. You reflect on the nature of peace. For a soldier, it is not simply the absence of war. That is just a ceasefire. True peace is the quieting of the mind. It is the untensing of muscles you didn't even know were clenched. It is the ability to look at a blue sky and not scan for enemy aircraft. It is the belief that tomorrow will be much like today. Safe. Ordinary. It is a fragile thing. You know that better than most. But here, in the warm, oily air of Dom's garage, the peace feels real. It feels solid, like the wrench in your hand. You finish your work for the night. A small victory. A tiny piece of order restored to the universe. You and Dom stand back and admire your handiwork. Two old soldiers finding a new kind of purpose. It is late when you finally leave. The street is quiet now. The lights are on in most of the houses, casting warm yellow rectangles onto the pavement. The night air is cool on your skin, a pleasant contrast to the warmth of the Santiago house. Dom walks with you to the end of the street. You stand for a moment under a street lamp, its orange glow softening the hard lines of the world. The hum of the lamp is the only sound. Take it easy, Marcus, he says. Don't let that big empty house get to you. I won't, you promise. You clap each other on the shoulder one last time, a gesture that says everything. Thank you. I'm here for you. Stay safe. Then you turn and walk your separate ways, back to your two very different worlds. The walk back to the Fenix estate feels longer. The streets become wider, cleaner, and emptier as you get closer to home. The lively human sounds of Dom's neighborhood fade, replaced by a profound and heavy silence. The grand houses of the Jacinto Plateau are dark, asleep behind stone walls and iron gates. You look up at the sky. Afira's city lights wash out most of the stars, but you can still see a few of the brighter ones, distant and cold. You think about the vast, empty spaces between those points of light. It makes the world feel small and precious. A fragile little island of life in an infinite, silent ocean. When you reach your house, it looks even bigger and more imposing in the dark. A fortress of solitude. You let yourself in, the heavy door closing with a sound that echoes through the cavernous entrance hall. The air inside is just as you left it, cool, still, silent. But the silence feels different now. After the warmth and noise of Dom's family, this silence feels less like peace and more like absence. The house is not resting. It is waiting. You walk through the downstairs rooms, the moonlight painting pale squares on the dark floor. The furniture looks like sleeping giants. You find yourself in your father's study. This is the heart of the house. Books line the walls from floor to ceiling. A massive desk dominates the room. On it, papers are arranged in neat, precise stacks. A half-finished equation is scrawled on a chalkboard. The portrait of a mind constantly at work. On a stand in the corner is something that does not belong. Your COG armor, polished to a mirror shine. A relic, a museum piece. You walk over to it, your reflection distorted in the curved gray metal of the chest plate. You see a stranger's face looking back at you. Older, more tired than you feel. You reach out and touch the cold, hard surface. You can almost feel the familiar weight of it on your shoulders, the hiss of the seals. It was a second skin for so many years, a shell that protected you. But it also separated you from the world. You remember the feeling of taking it off after a long mission, the sudden, shocking vulnerability, the pleasure of feeling the air on your own skin again. Your father insisted it be displayed here, a tribute. To you, it just feels like a ghost, a reminder of a part of your life you are trying to leave behind, a part of you that you're not sure how to live without. What is a soldier without his war? What is a hero when the world is at peace? You turn away from the armor and walk to the large window overlooking the city. A fira is spread out before you, a glittering carpet of lights under the dark sky. From this high vantage point, the city looks peaceful, orderly, a jewel of civilization. It is hard to believe that this same civilization was, not so long ago, tearing itself apart. The pendulum wars lasted for 80 years. 80 years fighting over emulsion, the lifeblood of Sera's economy. A resource that promised a golden age but delivered only conflict. You were born into that war. You, Dom, Carlos, all of you. It was the only world you knew. You were trained to fight it, and you did. You won. And now, what? This long peace feels strange, unnatural. Have you ever noticed how the air feels different just before a storm? That's what this quiet feels like. You've been trained for vigilance, for action. It is hard to unlearn those lessons. Hard to stand at a window and simply admire the view, without scanning the rooftops for snipers. You feel a deep weariness settle into your bones. It is not the physical exhaustion of a long march or a desperate firefight. It is a weariness of the soul, the cost of all that you have seen and done. You wonder if it will ever truly go away. Or if peace is just a place where you have more time to think about the war. You leave the study and make your way upstairs. The grand staircase curves upwards into the darkness. Your hand slides along the smooth, cool wood of the banister. Each step is a familiar friend. You have walked this path thousands of times. As a boy running from his tutor, as a soldier home on leave, as a veteran returning from the war. Your room is at the end of the hall. Simple, Spartan. A bed, a wardrobe, a desk. The room of someone used to living in barracks who finds comfort in simplicity. There are few personal belongings. A photograph of you and Dom, years younger, grinning in your new COG uniforms. A medal in a simple frame. Reminders of who you were. You sit on the edge of your bed. The mattress is soft, the sheets are clean. A world away from the hard bunks of military life. Another luxury of peace. You should feel comfortable, but a part of you is still on watch. Still listening for the alarm that will signal the end of the world. You lie back, your hands behind your head, and stare at the ceiling. The house is completely silent now. It is the deep, profound silence of the middle of the night. The city outside has finally gone to sleep. There is only the sound of your own quiet breathing. In and out. A steady rhythm in the stillness. You think of Dom and Maria and their children, asleep in their warm, cluttered house. You picture them safe in their beds, dreaming of trips to the ocean. It is a comforting image. It is what you fought for. That simple, beautiful, ordinary thing. A family sleeping safely through the night. And you think of your father, probably still awake in his laboratory, lost in his world of numbers, trying to solve the problems of the future. A man who carries the weight of the world on his shoulders and who has forgotten how to share the load. You hope he finds his own kind of peace in his equations and his work. The day replays in your mind, the quiet of the morning, the walk through the city, the warmth of the Santiago home, the satisfying work in the garage, the cool night air. It was a good day. An ordinary day. Nothing remarkable happened. And that is what made it so perfect. You close your eyes. The weariness is starting to win. The tension in your shoulders begins to ease. The sentinel in your mind is finally standing down. For tonight, at least, the war is over. For tonight, there is only this: the comfort of a soft bed, the safety of a strong house, the silence of a world at peace. The last sliver of consciousness holds on to a single, peaceful thought. Tomorrow, you will go back to Dom's. You will work on the car. Maria will cook something delicious. The children will laugh. It will be another ordinary day. And you can't think of anything you would rather do. The world outside is still. The city of Aphira sleeps under a sky of faint stars, unaware. The people in their beds dream of small, mundane things: work, love, family holidays. They are the dreams of a world that believes in its own permanence. A world that believes its greatest struggles are behind it. A world that has earned its rest. On this final, peaceful night, there is no hint of what is to come. No tremor in the earth. No shadow in the corner of the eye. There is only the deep, slow, quiet pulse of a planet turning in the dark. A planet on the very edge of a new and terrible dawn. But for now, there is only peace. A calm, silent, and dreamless sleep. And so, your watch is over for tonight. There are no more stories to tell, only the quiet that follows. Let the silence be a comfortable blanket. Let the darkness be a safe harbor. Your journey is done. All that is left is to rest. To let go of the day, and to drift gently into the peace of your own dreams. Sleep well. You leave your father to his work, to the silent hum of his machines and the endless scroll of his research. You know better than to disturb him when he is lost in that world of equations and theories, a world so different from your own. His battles are fought with intellect and discovery in the sterile quiet of a laboratory. Yours are fought with armor and a rifle in the mud and the rain. For a moment, you feel the immense distance between your two worlds, even living under the same roof. A son and a father who speak different languages. The cool, polished stone of the hallway floor feels solid beneath your feet as you walk away. The house is still. It's a place of quiet order, of academic rigor and unspoken grief for the mother and wife who is no longer here to fill its spaces with warmth. You pass family portraits on the wall, frozen moments of smiles and summer holidays from a lifetime ago. Before the pendulum wars took so much. Before you and your father became these quieter, more guarded versions of yourselves. You find yourself drawn to the large veranda at the back of the house. It overlooks the city, a sprawling tapestry of light and shadow under the Seran moons. And there, leaning against the balustrade, is Dom. He must have seen the light go on in your room. He is a constant presence in your life, a brother in all but blood, an anchor in the shifting tides of your world. He turns as you approach, a faint smile on his face. He doesn't need to ask what's wrong. He already knows. For a while, neither of you speaks. You just stand side by side, looking out at the glittering expanse of Ephyra, the capital city, a testament to humanity's resilience and ambition. From this vantage point, it looks perfect, serene. A jewel box of light against the dark hills. The air is cool and carries the faint scent of night-blooming flowers from the gardens below. It is an evening of profound peace, a peace that has been fought for, bled for, over generations. Dom is the first to break the silence. His voice is low, a familiar comfort. He talks about Maria, about the small apartment they are saving for, about a future that seems so bright and tangible, he can almost reach out and touch it. His dreams are simple. A family. A life away from the military. A life where the loudest sound is his children's laughter, not the report of a lancer. You listen, and you feel a part of you ache with a longing for that same simplicity. You look at his face, illuminated by the city glow, and you see the unwavering hope there. Dom has a capacity for optimism that you have always admired, and perhaps envied. He sees the world as it could be, as it should be. You, on the other hand, have always seen the cracks in the pavement, the shadows in the corners. You are a soldier. You are trained to see threats, to anticipate the worst. It is a difficult habit to break, even in peacetime. You tell him you are glad the wars are over, and you mean it. You are tired of fighting, tired of loss. But a small, quiet part of you, a part you rarely admit to, feels adrift. For years, your purpose was clear. Defend the coalition. Protect your comrades. Survive. Now, in this new era of rebuilding and diplomacy, your purpose feels less defined. You are a weapon hanging on a wall, waiting for a war that is supposedly never coming. Dom claps a heavy, reassuring hand on your shoulder. He understands. He tells you that your purpose now is to live, to build something, not just defend it, to find happiness in the small, ordinary moments. The taste of a hot coffee in the morning, a shared meal, a quiet evening with friends. He makes it sound so easy, so attainable. And for a moment, listening to him, you believe it too. You feel the tension in your shoulders ease just a little. You talk for what feels like hours, but is probably only one. The conversation drifts from old war stories, told now with a sense of distant memory rather than immediate trauma, to plans for the weekend. The conversation is easy, effortless. It is the kind of talk that can only exist between two people who know each other's history completely. Every victory, every failure, every scar seen and unseen. As the night deepens, a quiet falls over the city. The distant hum of traffic fades. The lights in the countless windows below begin to extinguish one by one as a civilization prepares for sleep. It feels like you are the only two people awake in the entire world, standing watch over the slumbering capital. There is a sense of ownership in this moment, a feeling of profound connection to the place you call home, a place you swore to protect. Eventually, Dom says he should go. Maria will be waiting. He gives your shoulder a final squeeze, a gesture of solidarity that needs no words, and then he is gone. You watch him walk down the garden path until his shape is swallowed by the darkness. You are alone again, but you feel less so than before. The conversation has settled something inside you, a quiet reassurance that you are not adrift. You are just in between chapters. You remain on the veranda for a long time, lost in thought. You look at your hands resting on the cool stone. They are soldiers' hands, strong, calloused. They have held weapons and saved lives. You wonder what they will build in this new age of peace. You think of your father, his hands creating complex schematics. You think of Dom, his hands one day holding his own child. You wonder about your own future, a path that suddenly seems less like a straight line and more like an open, uncharted field. The air grows colder, and a gentle breeze rustles the leaves in the garden. It is time to go inside. You take one last look at the sleeping city of Ephyra, a perfect picture of peace and prosperity, a world without monsters. A world that believes its greatest struggles are behind it. You turn and walk back into the silent house, the sound of the glass door clicking shut behind you echoing in the stillness. You feel a sense of calm you have not felt in a long time. It is the feeling of a day ending well, a simple, ordinary day, the last one. Though you do not know it yet,